Good morning and welcome back. Welcome to the show Who Am I? And why do I do the show Who Am I? I have a thesis. My theory, my thesis, whatever you want to call it, I believe that the problems of humanity, all of them, are being caused by a simple misunderstanding. One piece of knowledge that we do not possess, that if we would understand this one thing, then all of a sudden we handle our lives differently. We relate to each other differently. We have different methods of coming up with our collective systems. Everything will change when we add this one understanding. And what is this understanding that I am speaking of? Who are we? How do we work? What is our biotechnology and how does it function? How do I understand the world around me and interface with it appropriately? Now, I am just a piece of the puzzle. I am not the whole thing. I'm trying to be as whole as I can. But just by our very nature, I just have a piece of this, and there's more besides. I was listening to something just a little while ago. It was a Shaolin priest talking about the mind and the body, and the connecting force between the mind and the body was the breath. And the important thing is to have a disciplined mind, have a very strong mind and a disciplined mind and all that. And I listened to this and I thought, he's got a point. He's got a point. And he's absolutely correct, but he's missing something. And it's a point that Abraham added to me. And it's a point that it's sort of related to what churches are talking about, with concepts like the Holy Spirit and the Holy Ghost and such. But fact of the matter, it's the concept of the inner being. That's the one that has really done it for me, the inner being. The fact that the mind, yeah, okay, the mind, but did you know that you are two minds? That's really the point that the Shaolin did not talk about. Yes, I was excited about one thing because he was bringing up the concept of there's the form and the formless, and what links the form and the formless. And I was very excited about that because the form and formless is one of the points I like to bring up. It's how I delineate the two great aspects of the universe. There's the form and the formless. And the formless is kind of the Planck field, which is a field of fluctuating form that can be any form. And why does it become one form and not another form? But back to the two minds issue, because the two minds thing is really important. It's not just the mind. You are two minds. And one mind is your source mind that you don't have a lot of control over that one. This is the anchor in reality and oneness and allness that we all share. That source aspect of you, that is controlled by the reality of the field around you. So it has to do with where all the atoms are everywhere, how the stars are spinning, and what the physicality of what's going on around you is, and all of that. Your source self is you connected to all that is. So you don't have a lot of control over all that is. I don't know how to twinkle my nose and cause the planets and the stars to be doing different things than they're doing. I have no control over that. But this source aspect of you it's a mind that's feeding you information and intelligence. It's who you are. It's who you are springing from. We are all springing forth from this source energy that I believe very strongly, if people would understand this as a concept, as a if they would understand source energy, then all of a sudden the whole game changes. Because now we're not, what we're doing right at this moment is we are bumbling and blindly thrashing around in order to understand how it works and who we are. We're making things happen. We're getting all kinds of hits of terrible things that we don't want. Wow. Who are we? Who are we and how does it work? Well, I'll tell you how it works. In a conceptual way, I can tell you this. But I have the same problem that anybody else has. Even knowing these things, now you gotta take it and use the formulas and use the equations to work out your own individual life. What does this mean to you? And what does this mean to us? Part of what I want to say, I want to speak it to my people. I want to speak it to my people. I want to be the priestess in the temple, connecting into my pure positive knowing side and spilling forth wisdom to my people. Know thyself. Know thyself. Who are we? We are two selves. And it's not that your little self is wrong and your big self is right. Your little self knows things and your big self knows things. And when you put what your little self and what your big self know together and in alignment with one another, you see the world for what it truly is. Who am I? What is my thesis? My thesis is that this not knowing who we are is really a problem. We should be using our formulas to translate what our president is saying, what he means by the things that he is saying. He keeps doing what he says he's going to do. And some of the things that he says he's going to do now, his party shrugs their shoulders and says, oh, he's just talking in hyperbole and, whatever. We're really going to have to get this together, people. We have to get this together. And I have a problem with this show because of my own crisis of identity. Who am I to be telling you anything? I get a lot of that. I mean, just from I realize that. Who the hell am I? What do I know? Well, I can see something. Who are we? I'm not seeing, I haven't come up with all of this originally. It has to do with a pulling together of my understanding of some other people's great work. And the first one I'm going to cite here is Esther Hicks and her work with Abraham and how I have absorbed what Abraham is talking about, what she is saying as she describes the nature of the universe, who you are and what source energy is and how it works. It is expanding, it is loving, it is joyful, it is connected, it is intelligent, and it is intelligence. That's what source energy is, and you are an extension of that. So I took that one on faith, input it in there, went, you know what, I'm just going to believe this. I'm going to put this in there. You say it's true. I'm going to believe you. I'm going to put it in. And so I did. And then all kinds of things started to become revealed. It's like, oh my God, look at this. This is what the religions, this is their Holy Spirit. This is their Holy Ghost. This is their interface between themselves and the voice of God. The inner being. What is this inner being? It's you. It's a point of attraction that is coming from your small physical nature connected to the non-physical consciousness of the universe. You know, it's you are two minds. You have one mind that you are aware of, your conventional mind, the one that you could have discipline over or whatever. But you have another mind. And this other mind that you are is the universal mind. I am that. You are that. We are all the universal mind on the one hand, and then we are our own mind on the other hand, and we got to line them up. And when we understand that that's what we're supposed to do, when I line myself up with me, I'll be darned, I'm lined up with you when you're lined up with your inner being too. I mean, you don't want to line up to people on the outside, because there's no guarantee whatsoever that you're going to be lined up with your source, and everyone needs to be lined up with their source. What is this source thing? It is my deepest belief that when we understand source, that we will understand ourselves, the field around us, to the point that, oh man, this sounds like I'm saying something like in the future. All it takes is this little nut of understanding, and we can shift our whole trajectory as humanity. First of all, we've got to understand that this Trump phenomenon, this terrible thing that is happening to our beloved government and the organizational structure that we have been creating for the last 250 years, that what's happening to it right now is not something that should not happen to it. That's not true either. I don't want to say this wrong. Everything is there for a reason. Everything. Whether it's something you like or whether it's something you don't like. Now, I don't like this. I don't like this. And I don't need to like this. And your small self is not necessarily wrong when you look at things that you don't like. As a matter of fact, in some aspect, you're right. However, if you're getting negative hits about, if you're feeling negative emotions about stuff, you have to know that that's implying that there exists a larger frame. Because ultimately, there is no negative. It's all positive. It's all just that which is expanding, which is becoming more, which is becoming aware of itself, of its own nature and how it works. That's all there is. That's all that existeth unto the universe, is this field of reality and the consciousness of this field of reality and how it works. That's the only thing that exists. And so in all of that, there's no negative. There is aspects of the reality that you like less than stuff that you like more. Oh man, there is so much. I get into this, and my intention is to describe the meaning of the universe. And in a nutshell, by the way, in a nutshell. And then the temptation is always to flesh out this and flesh out that, and I know that it sounds disjointed. And it is my desire, my quest, my ambition to get less and less disjointed as I try to describe this thing that I want to describe. Now, I have been doing this live. I've been showing this to people, this process of mine, live in real time. I've been doing it live in real time. At first, I was just recording and then posting, recording and then posting, and then I started going real time, real time, real time. I'm not sure what that inclination is about, whether that's valid or not, whether I should continue to do that or not. Yeah, okay. Or whether I should just continue to work on my presentation and start going live when I'm really good, when I've got, power and message behind what I'm saying. I powerfully believe that there are two things that we need to understand in order to make it to the blessed future that I want to get to sooner rather than later. And I'll tell you what those two concepts are. The first one, they both have to do with source energy. One has to do with the 0-point energy field, the field of Planck's, that is creating the physical universe around us. That it's like a plasma, a Play-Doh, everything is made of Planck's. That's what the basic building block of the universe is. We thought it was the atom, but it totally is not the atom. It is the quanta of the Planck field, which is why they talk about the quantum, because they're talking about each Planck is a quanta, and it's the shortest frequency in a universe made of frequencies. So there's two things to understand here, and when humanity gets these things, they will understand themselves, and they will understand the energetic field that they are bathing in, that they are embedded in, that they are springing forth from, that they are surrounded by. They will understand that field. They will understand themselves. And it's going to solve a whole lot of humanity's problems. Now, at the same time, it's going to take us to a new level, from a new vantage point. A whole new set of problems and issues will spring forth. I'm not going to say that we're going to be out of problems. We're not going to be out of problems. We're just going to trade in these tired, old problems for brand new, fresh, interesting problems. The tired, old problems that I'm tired of, and they're old, and I'm tired of them. They are coming from us not understanding our nature. And so you got to understand the 0-point energy field in order to understand where our technology needs to go. This is an understanding of what gravity actually is and the shape and nature of space-time itself. It's not off in a place all by itself. It adds in all of the blank places within the history of physics and the history of physics thought, and adds to our understanding of the nature of. It's not in a way it's a whole different thing, but it's sort of like it's a whole different thing from an understandable position, adding in everywhere that we have come, adding in, Einstein's field equations and the Schwarzschild solution to Einstein field equations, and it adds in all of the people who have come before and the building of their understanding of who we are and how the physics of the field that we are in, how it works. But it doesn't just work for inanimate stuff. It doesn't just apply to building blocks and planets and stars and asteroids and such. It applies to you, to who you are. And so the two concepts, one is the 0-point energy field, and the other one is the inner being. And these two concepts are not mutually exclusive, not at all. The inner being comes from, so there is a universal mind that is in touch with the intelligence of all things. It sees everything. There is an allness, there is a wholeness to it. And the reason that I know this is that each and every one of us possesses a piece of this universal mind. It's almost like a little, think of it as a piece of mirror. And if you line it up just right, in stillness within yourself, with the physics of it lined up, your two selves in harmonious alignment, yourself in joyful concert or communion with the field around you, when you're in that kind of a state, your mirror can start, it will start reflecting the wholeness around you, and you will, inside of yourself, see a reflection of the whole thing. You get a glimpse of what the universal mind can see. It's not that you really can see what the universal mind can see. It's just the field starts fleshing out around you, and your imagination can start filling in. Oh my God, that's who we are. That's what we are. That's what we have access to. Each and every one of us. This explains the phenomenon of Esther Hicks as she stands in front of us, and basically what she's doing is she's testifying to the two selves that we are. She's like, I am Esther, and I don't know diddly. I didn't have questions. It was my husband that had these questions. I am just really good at this state of allowance, and this energy, this information, this data flow comes through me. Well, what she's testifying to is our nature. This is who we are. We are two minds. We are Abraham on the one hand and our individual selves on the other hand. We are these two selves. Some configuration of these two selves. Our own individual Abraham aspect and our individual conventional self aspect. We are these two things. And we need to understand this concept collectively. I know that, so to a point, I understand it, and I could, grab different people on the street and I could say, hey, do you understand this? And some people would understand it to some level. They would probably take it into places that I wouldn't, take it into religious places or dark, scary, weird places. Sometimes, maybe, or you get people who really understand. There's people out there who really understand in a non-intellectual way. And then they turn and look at sometimes it's easy to be in alignment until you engage your physical brain. As soon as you start engaging your physical mind, then all of a sudden it's harder to be in alignment. As you start thinking about bad people doing bad things. And so then you start thinking about how to fix that, and you come up with things like the law or the military or whatever. That is us engaging our physical brains in hold on just a second. I got to get a grip here. This is us engaging our physical brains not in alignment with our greater selves, because our greater self does not need to make war on our neighbors. Although, if you look at the natural world, there are certain degrees of protection that different species adapt, whether it's venom or electricity, like an electric eel, or whether it's big teeth or thick hide. We do need to develop some sort of protection against an not altogether kind world around us. However, I postulate that there are reasons that the world is the way that it is, and that we could form the world into a better world if we understood how it worked. And I'm actually very eager, excited, foaming at the mouth, champing at the bit, to get humanity to a place where I want us to be playing, because we are just the coolest creatures. And yet, when we do not understand who we are nasty, disgusting, hateful, destructive, rude, horrible creatures, capable of madness and ugliness to the farthest reaches of how you can imagine darkness. We go there. But I think it's just because we don't understand who we are and how it works, because I don't think any of us really are that way. Bashar points out that 100% of people, 100% of the time, move in the direction of what they believe will be better. What they believe will be more comfortable. What they believe will be an improvement for them. Now, the problem is that they've got beliefs that are not in alignment with the reality around them. And so they might believe that voting for this madman who is just full of hyperbole and doesn't mean anything that he says, isn't actually gonna do any of the things he says he's gonna do. People may have they voted for him 100% of the time. They would have voted for him because they thought that was going to be the better result. Now, there's a bigger picture going on than just, and the object of the exercise is not necessarily that America makes it intact as America on the other side of this. That's not necessarily what the object of the exercise is. What I think the object of the exercise has to be, because then once we hit the first object of the first exercise, then we can use the information that we gleaned from that exercise to accomplish the next exercise. And I'm going to tell you what that is. The first object of the first exercise is we've got to know who we are, and we've got to understand how it works. We've got to understand how the points of attraction and the energies, positive and negative, who you are, how thoughts turn to things, the steps of creation, steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 fixed laws of the universe, only one being actionable, and then the 7 things that you need in order to survive. And then there's it's not 7, there's 11. 1, 2. Anyway, understand all of that, put it all together, Then add in the Planck field of quantum oscillators, the Planck field of quantum fluctuations. Add that in, knowing that whenever you see matter, it's space-time spinning. It's always spinning. It's either spinning or it's stochastic and canceling out to the random effect, in which case it looks like space. It either looks like empty space, in which case it's canceling itself out, or it looks like matter, in which case it has come into coherence in that part of the field and it's spinning, and that's why it looks like matter there. So we got to put all of this together. Put all of it together. Add it all up. And then what you come up with on the other side is like, oh my God, look at what's possible. Look at who we are. Look at how amazing and wonderful it is. And if I can keep myself focused over there, there's so many wonderful, cool things to do and think about, and so many possibilities for everything from books you could write to, to art or music that could be inspired by this. But now, from this position, now enter the field of attraction. Now, because from this angle, now when you go into the specific and get physical, get real, I'm air quoting the word real. Now when you do it from that angle, now you're successful. Well, I've been having issues with this over the last few days because I really have not found my tribe, and I have not found my people. I know they're out there. I have all the faith in the world. I just want the exact right ones at exactly the right time to find me in exactly the right moment of my work, so that somehow, what I would like more than anything else in the whole world is to work in a dang think tank. I would like to work in a think tank. That would be the coolest thing ever. I could add so much to an understanding of the field and what's going on in that kind of atmosphere, but I don't know what. You don't just go knock on the door of somebody and say, hey, can I apply to this damn think tank? You got to let the universe sort you out in perfect vibrational attraction. I don't want something that my thinking brain could think up and go orchestrate, because I don't believe that my thinking brain is nearly as good at doing this as my greater thinking brain can do it. My source mind. My source mind knows exactly what I want. I don't always know what I want. I know that I want to be happy. I know that I want to feel things. I want to feel love. I want to feel hope and energy coursing through my soul. I want to feel interested. I want to feel valuable. I want to feel energy and excitement and interest. I want to feel. That's actually what I want. I want to feel these wonderful positive feelings. And I know my inner being knows that I want to feel those feelings. And she knows what physicality will inspire those feelings in me. I don't know that. I don't know what physicality will inspire the feelings I want to feel are. My inner being knows this because she's vibrational. Now we, as conventional materialistic beings, materially focused beings, we've got it all wrong. We need to get back to an understanding of something. The universe is one thing, it's not two things. It's not form and formless. It's form and formless that comes together to form one thing that is comprised of both aspects, form and formless. Now, what we have done in our modern society, you know what's wrong with me? I can tell what's wrong with my presentation. I just blah, 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 blah on. And there's no energy about it. There's no energy. I just drone endlessly. It's like I'm in a classroom. And there's a reason why it's like that, because part of me wants to teach the world some of this, and part of me wants to teach me some of this, wants me to focus on this. I say these things, I know they're true, and then I need to turn and study what I'm saying and focus on it and go, oh, ooh, yeah, okay, that's right. Who am I? I am two beings. I am two beings. And this matters so much. And these two beings, they are both right in a way. Well, one of them is ultimately, absolutely, in totality, in allness, in almightiness, is right. But both of them are right in a way. Your small self is right in a way. But she's not right where and when she contradicts or crosses the energy stream of the greater one that you really are, the greater one connected to all things. So that's how you make your calculations as to where am I right and where am I wrong, because everyone is right and everyone is wrong. And it's a really it's a claim I'm gonna stand on. It keeps coming back. It's not as shallow as it sounds. Everyone is right and everyone is wrong, and it all depends on where you're wrong is where and when and if you are pushing against. Is that where you're wrong? I'm not sure that's where you're wrong, because that might also be where you're right. There's something right in there and there's something wrong in there. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong. And that, I want, I want to teach things that I still need to learn. I have a clear understanding that I could elucidate on the one hand, but then I still have my little life on the other hand. Then she still has to take all of this information that I'm spewing out here and use it to make my calculations to understand what I'm going to do. How do I react to my children? How do I spend my money? How do I choose which house to live in? How do I choose which country to live in? How do I choose which clubs to be in? Now I know that what you're supposed to do is you let your feelings lead you there. Well, my feelings have been leading me to this damn studio and this discussion of who am I? Who am I? And I don't know what to do with this discussion. I want to bring it to the world, but I have no listeners. And I also have no personal interest in personal what's the word? What I'm actually not interested in is self-promotion. I don't want to promote myself. I don't want to promote myself. I want to promote my ideas. And anyone who listens to them, who finds them interesting, who finds me interesting, who thinks that my ideas could help them in what they're doing. I want us to find each other. And I want to be helpful somehow. But I'm not interested in self-promotion. And I know that that's funny, because if you want to be an influencer on YouTube, self-promotion is like, isn't that the main thing you're doing? You know, get the word out there. Who am I? Who am I? I'm Emily Starchild. I'm your hostess for the fabulous show, Who Am I? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know that I have felt the need to bring whatever this exercise I'm doing into action. And the first line of action has been get in front of a microphone and record it. Then perhaps, you know, there'll be plenty of data for the psychiatrist to work with, right? Or if my loved ones ever, when I'm gone, they want to know who I was, they want to know what I said, what I was onto. And it's not that I'm onto anything that's all that unique. What it is what I do that's different. It's the only thing I do that's different, is I add it all up. I add it all up. And I don't believe one thing unless and until it, well, I believe everything, actually. I swallow it all, and it goes into a chamber. It's the place where everything goes. It's like the room of requirement in a way. It's the place where everything goes. Every piece of information you have ever come across, every thought, every idea, every experience, everything goes in there, because there is one reality. And so you throw everything in there, and at first you don't know how it fits. I believe that, I believe that, I believe that, I believe that, I believe that. Oh, that sounds it. I believe that, I believe that, I believe that. I was gullible. I believed everything. Everything. And I moved from belief to belief to belief, swallowed more. And there's this place, this room where all the information goes into. And at some point in my pedagogical way, I'm an old woman now, or chronologically, I'm an old woman. If you looked at me, I don't think you would think I'm as old as I am. But at some point, the things in that room started to connect with each other of their own accord, without me putting them together. I just put everything in the same room. You just have to keep adding. I call it addition consciousness, as opposed to subtraction consciousness, which is a different way of approaching the situation. There's people who, they have a very strong guardian at their front gate, and they don't let any thoughts in unless they have vetted them at the gate of your physical mind. Your physical mind vets it on the front and says, does that sound right? That doesn't sound right. I'm throwing that away. Instead of, in a way, it's neither believe or not believe. You just add it in because it was true, because it was there, because you have to add every single thing in. You have to add every single thing in if what you're after is a view of the whole picture. That's one aspect of you. One aspect of you is you as the whole picture. And then there's another aspect of you, which is you as your specific self. This one, and this is something I've been learning from Abraham, this one does not have to look at 100% of everything. This one gets to focus in on whatever it is you want to focus in on. And you should be focusing in on things and then measuring how that feels to you. how it feels. Does that feel good? If it feels good, it means you are in alignment with your greater self. If it doesn't feel good, it means you are not in alignment with your greater self. Because your greater self is always in the picture. Always, always, always in the picture. And your greater self always feels great. And so whenever you don't, it just means that in that moment, you have disconnected. You're a creature who's kind of like connected, disconnected, connected, disconnected, connected, disconnected to your greater self. Because your greater self is actually a mind. Your source aspect, this field of Planck frequencies, of plasma Planck frequencies connecting the whole multiverse together, is a mind that knows where everything is. It's an awareness of where all the physicality is. And that physicality is rolling. It's moving. It from Planck to Planck, from Planck instant to Planck instant, that rolling manifestation is shifting its shape. And you got to ask yourself, what is causing that shift and how does it relate to? Well, I think that it's focus. It's focus and attention. Of what? The great mind, whatever that is. It's the wholeness added all together, or you could look at it as it's each one of us individually added together to make the wholeness. That's who you are. You can't separate yourself from the field around you. That's one of the lessons that we're going to learn in this class of forever and ever and ever. I guess we're locked into this classroom forever. I keep trying to do it every day. I want to get back on the wagon and start doing it, but I got to get in the right frame of mind to be able to have anything to say to anybody. Because when I am lost in my own, well, I don't know what the F to do with my life, you know, I don't have anything to say to the outside world. It's like the Tom Lear line about psychiatrists or whatever who, what is that line? Something about giving advice to people who are happier than he was. Some guy who was I think he was a philosopher. He liked to give advice to people who were happier than he was. Happiness is the goal, by the way. But I think that the pathway to the happiness is we have to understand who we are and how our equipment works and what the object of the exercise is and where we are right and where we are wrong. I have had a problem with my life. I have a vision problem that sometimes when I get sad about it, it moves things in people around me. It moves things in me. And I wonder to myself, is that why it's happening in physicality? To get things to move. Because what I really, really want, I don't just want a happy life full of golf and travel and powerful meaning. I don't just want that. Wait a minute. I don't just want a life of golf and pleasure and travel with me and my husband all alone and no connection to the outside world. I want connection to the outside world, but where I want to connect to the outside world is right here. I want to connect right here in this field of information. I want to be a student / teacher of this information forevermore. This is what I want. Because I believe that this is what humanity is lacking. That we don't know who we are, and we don't know how our equipment works. We don't know what we need. We don't know what's good for us. We don't know what's missing. And we don't know how much better and how much different the whole damn thing will be when we pull it together. When we pull it all together and we understand who we are in wholeness. Who am I? And what is the meaning of life? I'm not going to post this. I've decided I've recorded it. I'm putting it in the can. I might even post it unlisted. I might post it unlisted. And I'll go unlisted for a little while, and then when I feel good again, I'll put it back out there. I got to get myself worked up about reality. There's shit going on that absolutely relates to this field of information that I want to point at, amplify, help to illuminate in my own small way. I want to be a part of this growing information, this growing understanding. I want somewhere, somehow, someday to be on record as having known it way back when. I saw that, I knew it, and I spoke up. And I tried to, and at some point, people are going to be like, yeah, well, look at what's happening. And they're going to look at the dates on what I was doing, and they're going to go, wow, she did. She knew that. She knew that. She was ahead of the game. And then they will listen to me, and they will know that on the one hand, I do know certain things. Please listen to me. And then on the other hand, please reflect back to me exactly what I have said in these states back to my physical conventional self so that I can have access to this information too. There are two aspects of me here, and it's like the Who Am I show is an exercise in big me taking the microphone and speaking little me's words. It's kind of what I'm doing. I'm sort of being my whole self, or trying to. And then when the show is over, when the microphone goes dead, then I have to go out in my little self and figure out what to do. How to impulse through my day. How to impulse through my through my chores, through my... What do I want? What do I want? Well, I'll tell you what I want. I want feelings. There are feelings that I want. I want to feel love and joy and safety. I want to feel freedom and playfulness and joy. I want to feel fun and creativity. I want to feel these powerful, positive things. That's what I want. My physical mind keeps translating it into what objects do I want? What actions do I want? Where do I want to live? What house do I want to be in? But it's because you're getting this in the form of impulses to move, impulses, desire. It's right there at the edge of where you are. There is desire. And you may have it all tangled up with your thinking mind. But desire is actually your overall self trying to move. Your field energy, your field self moving with the field. That's what your desire is. Now, your thinking brain can mess it up. and translate that wick of desire into all kinds of physical objects that then you try to go after, which may or may not equal the feelings you seek. Isn't that funny how that works? I'm getting close to an hour. Since I'm not posting it, I could stop at any time if I want to. I'm going to do this again tomorrow. We'll see when I post again. I don't know how much the world needs to see this part. They need to see my finished product. I don't know how much they need to see me struggling. I'm finding my way. I'm finding my way. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? All three of those questions we want to answer. Beautiful, actually. I like that. And so until tomorrow, no one will listen to this except me. Until someday, maybe somebody might. But until tomorrow, whoever you are, if you are within the sound of my voice, may the source be with you.